Good morning, I'm Kevin Price, delighted to be with you on this Monday, talking to you about you and your business like we do every day. We have great guests lined up for you. One of my favorite, Congressman Bill Flores. He's been on the program several times, a great American and a great representative of not only his district, but the great state of Texas. He's been in the news recently with a new bill that he's proposed to protect fracking from federal regulation. What a novel idea. You know, the federal government had no constitutional role for any type of regulations when this country was founded. And what the founders had in mind was different states providing different approaches regulatory-wise. And because of that competition, if you will, the best ones would rise to the top. And I've always argued that's the best way to regulate. And I'm so glad that you're really taking a stand, Congressman, to protect and really restore energy independence in North America. Welcome to the program.
Kevin, it's great to be back with you on the Price of Business.
Yeah, it's been too long. So before we get into all that, why don't you tell us again, remind us exactly what part of the great state you represent, and how long have you been doing that now?
I represent Texas District 17, which includes Waco, Bryan College Station, and the north part of Travis County, or north part of Austin, and all of Pflugerville.
Very good. And how long have you been in Congress now?
2.5 years. I was elected in that big wave class of 2010.
Yeah, that's right, and we're delighted to have you. You guys are a whole new breed. We need to do a whole show about how the Tea Party conservatives are calling the guys who've been around too long chicken Republicans, but we'll do that on a different different segment. But the great thing about people like you is you remember why you were elected. You know exactly what your mandate is. And, Ted Cruz kind of scratches his head because of the fact that he gets attacks not only from the Democrats, but from his own party. But he knows exactly why he got elected to Congress, to the Senate.
Well, we remember that, but what I would encourage all conservatives and all Republicans to do is to remember who the real enemy is here. It's not fellow Republicans. It is President Obama and the liberal ideology, and it's folks like Harry Reid that are cramming all this stuff down the American throats. Those are the people. So I wish we'd all turn our efforts toward the outside instead of on each other. So I think that's something we all need to remember.
Amen to that. Great point to make our transition. So what are you doing with this legislation? I love it. I think it's a great idea.
Well, let me set the stage if we can real quickly. We've got an energy revolution going on in this country. We're in a position now to be energy secure by the year 2020. And hydraulic fracturing and horizontal drilling are two of the essential technologies that have put us in that position. And we owe a great deal of admiration and support to the gentleman who helped us, who came up with this idea, and that was George Mitchell, who passed away earlier this week. So I'd like all of our listeners to keep his family in his prayers and to remember what he's done for this country in putting us in this position. But, a big part of this is because of the boom in natural gas that we have. I mean, we're now the Saudi Arabia of natural gas. It helps us fiscally. It helps us geopolitically. Heck, it's even reduced our greenhouse gas emissions by 12%. Mm-hmm. So that's setting the stage. Now, what's happened is the environmentalists in the Obama administration has said we want to be off all carbon fuels, including coal, oil, natural gas. And in order to do that, they recognize that if you can somehow regulate hydraulic fracturing to the point that it can't be used, then you can stop this boom and force us to do something else, probably go back to the Stone Age. Mm-hmm. And so there are 10 different federal agencies that are looking at regulating this sector, even though there's only one agency that has limited authority to regulate hydraulic fracturing. And so what my bill does is it basically says, okay, federal government, hands off in any state where the state is regulating hydraulic fracturing. And the reason I did that is because the states have been doing this for about 60 years over, 1.5 million to 2 million fracturing operations. And every federal witness that's ever testified to Congress has said there's no evidence of groundwater pollution from hydraulic fracturing. Mm-hmm. So my bill just recognizes all the positive things and recognizes limitations of the law with the federal government and just says, let's do this the right way and leave it with the people who are doing well already.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So what kind of response did you get? My mind tells me it's probably fairly predictable.
Well, actually, it's better than you would have thought, because in many cases, the liberal media would like you to think hydraulic fracturing is a four-letter word. And when we put the bill together, we got bipartisan support in terms of original sponsors. When the bill was passed out of the Natural Resources Committee earlier this week, we even had votes from the Democratic side on this bill. So I feel pretty good about it. I'm going to be working with our Senate colleagues to try to get a Senate companion to this. And, with any luck at all, we might have, a real practical standard put in the law before the end of the year. That's my hope, anyway.
That would be amazing. I just can't help but think that you're going to have some problems with the executive branch.
Oh, yeah, there's no doubt about it. It may take some external factor to help us get there. For instance, let's say gasoline prices were to jump up over $4 a gallon. Well, the American people really start calling up here when that happens, and the executive branch may say, hey, I don't want to stand in front of this train, and hydraulic fracturing got the country is one of the solutions to getting the country to an energy secure future. So you might want to get out of the way of that train.
Absolutely. And nothing else. Nothing else, Congressman, is a great referendum issue for when you have your next election cycle, isn't it? I mean, I love those. I think it's important to have referendum issues. I think it's important that you have 36 times that the House has voted to end Obamacare, even though we know it isn't going anywhere. I think it's important to have referendum issues. Your thoughts?
Well, I was hoping we'd talk about that, because as soon as we get this hydraulic fracturing bill voted into law, then we can get back to killing Obamacare. We've actually got close to 40 votes on defunding, dismantling, rearranging, trying to find a way to push Obamacare out of the bomb that it is for the American economy. And so I'm hoping we spend a lot of time working on that.
Yeah, absolutely. No question about it. So where exactly is your bill in the legislative process?
Well, it's been introduced. We've got our co-sponsors. We had a hearing on it a couple of weeks ago. Christy Craddock was from the Texas Railroad Commission, was one of the witnesses, and she was a rock star in the job that she did. And then we had our markup earlier this week, and it passed in the committee, and it's ready to go to the House floor now. So as far as when it goes to the House floor, I can't tell you that for sure.
And what kind of support are you getting from the Houston area?
Actually, it's been great. We've gotten support from the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, from the American Chemistry Council. We've gotten support from the North American Manufacturers Association. One of the little huge byproducts, little's the wrong word, one of the huge byproducts of this energy boom that we've got is that manufacturing is now competitive in the United States again. This cost-efficient energy profile that we have today as manufacturers looking at boosting their investment in the U.S. And because of that, you've got the manufacturing community that says, hey, we need this. The unions say, hey, we need this because it creates good manufacturing jobs. So we've got a groundswell of support for it. It's been great in Houston and all over the country. Okay,
but how about in terms of members of Congress, the Houston delegation?
Oh, they've been very supportive. I would expect that Birch et al. will support it, including a few of our Democratic friends from the Houston area.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really hard to be anti-energy in Houston.
Yes, it is. I mean, even Gene Green's always been a solid energy supporter, even though he's got a D beside his name. And every now and then, Sheila Jackson Lee votes for energy.
Yeah. And that's shocking because apparently she's unbeatable, which is the most mind-boggling thing I've ever seen in my entire life. But, whenever I get a little prideful about the fact that I'm from the greatest state in the union, my friends from other states say, but your city has Sheila Jackson Lee as a congresswoman. Boy, you talk about knocking me back on my knees. There's nothing like that. But she's not my congresswoman. Ted Poe's my congressman, so I couldn't be more grateful than that. But Bill Flores, I kind of consider you a price of business congressman, and I'm certainly glad to always have you on the program.
Well, Kevin, it's good talking to you again. I'd ask our listeners to continue praying for our country and our military men and women.
Yep, and keep communicating with your member of Congress. Don't assume where they stand, or even if you know where they stand, don't think you're not persuadable. Everyone's persuadable in an election season, and almost every year is an election season these days. Thanks so much, Congressman.
Yes, sir. Have a great one.
You too. All right, when we come back, much, much more for you. I do want to remind you the best content here. It shows up over there at usdailyreview.com. While there, like it on Facebook, follow it on Twitter.
We want to multiply.